Hello and welcome back to Fane TV. After a pretty long hiatus, I am again attempting to make some videos, and the first game that I've chosen for this is Commander: The Great War, which is a fairly uncomplicated war game, hex-based, turn-based, with counters, you know the type. I've already attempted playing the Great War campaign with the Central Power once on balanced AI strength. It wasn't very difficult, but I feel like I did some mistakes which, could be handled better. I've understood a little bit more how the game works, and I think that we can give it a try again on balanced, and if it's too easy at some point, we can attempt a campaign on privileged, maybe with the Entente. So let's launch the game and, you know, um, take in the game.
Serbian enemy is ill-equipped but battle-hardened.
I really love the narrator, the audio quality of the game is excellent, but to be honest, we are not going to find out anything of that importance. We know how the First World War started, we know who the participants were, and so on. What I want to do in this episode is to, take a look at the basic game mechanics and do maybe the first turn of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and just, familiarize everyone with how it works because it's not that straightforward. First of all, let's take a look at how the countries work, what the economy looks like. This is the strategy part of the game. You have three types of resources: production points, manpower, and ammunition. Production points, are the basic currency, is the basic currency that you have to, buy pretty much everything. You can, buy increased ammunition capacity, you can buy units, you can see here the costs. I mean, this is pretty much everything that you can buy. Oh, and you can buy laboratories for research as well. Here you can see what the balance of production points is right now. We produce 76 per turn through, our cities, I guess, like Vienna, Budapest, and so on. They all have this number in the brackets, which is the amount of production they give. We'll take a look. We'll figure out how much of the production of conquered cities we take, because one of the mistakes I did in my previous campaign was that I accepted the surrender of some countries before I had conquered all of their cities, and they just went to some other neutral country in the area, which I don't know why that would be a thing. We're not gonna surrender anyone this time. We're just gonna completely conquer them. What else do we have here? Yeah, exactly. We produce this production. Well, yeah. We have upkeep costs from our troops mostly. There's no breakdown of this, but every infantry, for instance, needs 4 upkeep. Ships need a lot of upkeep, I think, as well. Not so much, actually. Okay, ships just cost a lot, but they're pretty easy to upkeep. The next thing that we have is the cost of research. Research is pretty important. We're gonna come back to that. But it's fairly cheap to actually upkeep research. So sometimes it might be, intelligent to not buy, those 2 infantry troops, but to invest in another lab and, just focus on making your units just better than the enemy. I mean, it's just basic min-maxing strategy here to, balance out the amount of troops you have with the amount of research you do. I haven't really, figured out what the ideal balance is, but I have the impression that just having troops that are better than the enemy troops in terms of I have infantry and he has garrisons, that's pretty good already. So I would like to have a good amount of troops that are on the ground that can keep the enemy at bay, and then we'll figure out how strongly we want to invest in research. There might be the occasional, one or two labs added ad hoc in between, like planned or whatever moments of the game. Now, manpower is, of course, the resource that you use to fill up your units. Every unit needs some manpower. You need manpower when you repair them. It's pretty much, you send for more troops and more weapons and so on. So it costs a little bit of production and a little bit of manpower to repair stuff as well. And then you have ammunition, which is quite an interesting mechanic, actually, because you do have units such as the artillery, which uses ammunition when it shoots. The artillery, as you can see, uses 10 ammunition when it shoots. It's not bad. It has range. You can, I guess if you mass like 2 or 3 artillery on some front, you can just destroy one of the infantries that are holding the line, even if they are entrenched. So maybe later on, depending on what research you do, because I think you can give them gas attack and so on, they can get fairly powerful. But it's not a thing that you need to, focus too much on, because it costs so much ammunition to shoot it. Because if you see here, our ammunition production is 4 per turn. So, if you produce 4 per turn and you have 1 artillery and you want to shoot it every turn, you're going to run out of bullets pretty quickly. So it actually might make sense to even try to expand it to 5, fairly soon in the beginning, because it's gonna just, the amount of munition that we gain through that will be, pretty big over a lot of turns. But I don't know, we'll see. I don't think that is a priority anyway. Then we have the railroad capacity, which is the amount of units that you can transport quickly through the rail system of the country. So if you look at this unit here, north of Vienna, we can transport it easily to any of those highlighted hexes with the train. It has to be around the city that you control. That's pretty much it. And it has to start around the city that you control. It does have some range, because these units here next to Lemberg, they cannot reach to Sarajevo or Kataro, which is a little bit disappointing, because these guys will need to be here to help. But I think I'll just bring this guy down and I'll bring one of these guys here, or both of them here. So it shouldn't be too bad. Now, what else do we have? Exactly, the transport capacity as well, which is pretty much like the rail capacity, only for water. You will need to have unit that's on the coast. I think it has to be in adjacent to like a harbor, which is here. A port, exactly. And then you can just, put it in the water and land somewhere. To be honest, I'm not sure how useful that will be for the Austrians. I mean, who are we going to invade? The Greeks, the Italians, I guess, maybe? Our plan is to, finish off with Serbia anyway as soon as possible, and then we can focus all of these troops on Italy as well, so it shouldn't be a big problem. It shouldn't be a priority for us anyway. The point is, it's not that expensive, I guess, if you, play a country, if you use it for a country like Germany, because they will need it at some point to be able to land in Great Britain. Maybe 2, 3, 4 of them. It's going to be a big investment, but at some point it will be necessary. Now let's check the next tab. The next tab is diplomacy. You get the amount of turns that it will take for other countries to enter the war. As you can see, France, Belgium, and Germany will enter in 2 turns. Then Great Britain will enter, then Russia. In around 10 turns, Turkey will enter, and around 20, Italy will be there too. It's, I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that you can pretty much plan around that, but, what will you do? It's not gonna have a very in-depth diplomacy system as well. I mean, that would be probably too much for this type of game. What you can do, though, is to, say, I want to invade Romania, and then I can make a declaration of war, and they will be, entered on my opponent's side. I don't know if there's a way to influence them somehow to join you. I don't think that's possible, to be honest. I haven't seen any way of doing that. I can just declare war, but I can't do anything else. There's no way of, improving the relationship and so on. Now let's go continue to the research screen. Depending on how many laboratories you have, you get some sort of basic research in all of these categories. Like for ground unit technology, you have industrial warfare, anti-air, and barbed wire. But I guess it, depending on what level it is, it will get other names. I don't know exactly how to call them, like infantry gun technology, and anti-air technology for infantry, and entrenchment technology, I guess, because that's what it does. So I think we will just focus on the industrial warfare for now, because it gives us this space defense. As you can see down here, you have the amount of turns it takes for these technologies to be finished at the current rate. And if I put in a focus, it modifies a little bit the times. It makes it quicker for the one that you focused on and a little bit slower for everything else. That should be fine. Then we have production. Every unit has certain stats, We can go quickly through them so we are clear on what everything does, although I'm not 100% sure that everything that's written here in the interface of the game is accurate as well. We'll come to that, and maybe we'll keep an eye out when we play and figure it out together. So if you look at the infantry unit, it has of course a cost, manpower, upkeep, and the amount of turns it takes for it to finish. Then you have these stats here. You have the base defense, which is being used against units of the same type. So you have pretty much land units, artillery, air units, and ships. And if you bombard an infantry unit from a ship on land, then it will use this defense. If it's being attacked by another infantry, it will use this defense. Quality is the maximum possible efficiency level, pretty much. It's a cap on that. And the efficiency tells you with what percentage of strength the units fight. So if they're on efficiency 10, which is the maximum, they fight with 100% strength. If it's on 9, then with 90%, and so on. Then you have the range. 1 means that it can pretty much only attack on the adjacent hex. You have ground attack, which is the strength of the attack, which you have to compare to the base defense somehow. Then you have air attack, naval attack, armor piercing. They kind of shoot back, especially in this time, shooting back at planes when they flew overhead was fairly common, and you could do damage to them. They were pretty flimsy things back then. Naval attack, there's no naval attack. You cannot shoot back at the fucking ship that is off the coast and, bombards you. Armor piercing, I think, is an attack bonus against armor. So if your armor piercing is high enough, and I would assume armor of the train is low enough, then you can, do extra damage to it. I'm not sure how this works, to be honest, because I haven't really played. Like, I don't know where to look if the armor is in any way used. Like, I'm not sure where to look for that. Cavalry has also an additional interesting mechanic that does extra damage. They do extra damage when they force another unit to retreat. I also didn't really understand how retreating works. I think it happens when you kill more than half of the remaining troops that the enemy has or something. Like if you do more than 50% damage, then they retreat. What else do we have? Oh yeah, shock is important. Shock does efficiency damage. So shock happens after the normal fighting phase, and it does damage to the efficiency. The efficiency, as we said, is important because you can, whittle down the opponents and actually manage to do damage to them through reducing their efficiency, because then the next unit and the next unit will have an easier time of fighting with them. So cavalry can actually be used as a nice, shock troop, I guess. You attack with them first, reduce their efficiency, then you can go in with everything else. But to be honest, I feel like they're just too good for other things to do that, and you have fighters, you have artillery. There are other ways to reduce efficiency, but I guess that in a pickle, and if you have a lot of cavalry, you can use them for the same reason. Assault is the amount of entrenchment that you ignore with this unit. So cavalry and infantry, ignore some entrenchment, and for the artillery it's the bombard, and for the ships it's the bombard as well. I think even for the flyers, it's the same. This is the amount of, entrenchment they ignore when they attack. Because, every unit that we have eats some production points as upkeep. The small garrisons, for instance, eat 1, and we only produce a positive 17 production points per turn. I think we should try to increase that and try to reduce the amount of production we just waste at the moment, such as with units in Prague or Vienna or Budapest, which are bad. They cannot move a lot, they cannot be transported by trains, so why have them? Seriously. I will just disband all of them, except the ones that are on the border to Russia, because those can be useful at some point. I mean, Russia is in the game pretty quickly, so it just makes sense. What else is there to say? Maybe the naval units, exactly. We have the submarine here. Submarine is a special class of naval unit, which is always invisible except when it attacks, or if an enemy accidentally wants to move on the same tile the submarine is on, then some sort of ambush attack can happen, or happens all the time. I'm not 100% sure on that either. But the point is, normally you cannot see the submarine and you cannot attack the submarine, except if the submarine attacks you first. And it works that way that the submarine can only be attacked if the unit didn't move this turn. So you cannot take this ship, move it next to the submarine and shoot it if you somehow discovered it. You will have to, wait until the submarine shoots you, and then you can shoot back. So if there's like 3 ships around like some other ship that you want to destroy, and you go into the middle of them, shoot this one ship, sink it, then 3 other ships can shoot at you, and at some point, they will do damage, even though the submarine has pretty high defenses, and ships usually don't have, pretty high defenses, and ships don't usually have the highest attack against submarines. Dreadnoughts, pre-dreadnoughts, and armored cruisers, they're just, different types of ships that, don't really work all that differently, except the fact that the dreadnought, I think, is, well, somehow a very expensive unit, and if you lose it, then you lose some national morale, which, to be honest, I haven't really seen how that works yet. I guess that's how the countries that I had in the other playthrough that surrendered, that's why they surrendered, because this national morale just fell below a certain threshold. Not sure. I mean, I guess if it's high enough for us, then it shouldn't be a big problem. Now we are going to continue deleting everything that we don't need, because I had forgotten the one in Debrecen, but that should be fine now. The dreadnought we will park next to Futinje and Kataro, because, maybe at some point it will be useful to to bombard them from the sea. These two will just block the entrance to the Adria. And we are going to, you know, start our first real turn of the game, I guess. What do we want to do? Oh yeah, I forgot one thing. We also have commanders. Commanders give give like a lot of bonuses if they are attached to a certain unit, so I can just put it on him, and there's like a 2 hex radius around this unit that gets the bonuses. So it's fairly strong, because if you look at it, you know, he gives 4 base defense, 1 ground attack, and 1 assault. And if you look at research, you know, just the first tech gives you 4 base defense, and that's it. And the next one gives you another base defense and another assault, but no ground attack. It is a really, really good thing to have many generals and to even stack them if it's possible at all. Same can, you know, happen with admirals and air aces. They also modify the units around them, and all you have to do is have these criteria done. You need to inflict 5 casualties, and you need to suffer 5 as well. While I also am not sure that these numbers are completely correct. 1 casualty means like 1 point of strength from any unit, but I think I've seen conflicting, you know, results on that one. So we'll have to keep an eye out for it, and we'll, you know, see how it goes. Now, I think this is the most of the basic stuff that we need to discuss. So now we'll start with moving our troops in position. Since this guy can go wherever, maybe we'll even send him like to Sarajevo and move this unit down. Or we can move this unit here. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this and try to move him here. Perfect. And we'll exchange them in the next turn, but I wanted to be inside here. And this is also a good place to eat some damage with a unit that doesn't really matter so much, to get our general a little bit quicker. The cavalry will just move a little bit further. These guys can just stay here because I'm going to move them up later. But I guess we can use them at the moment to, you know, create trenches. Did we give something in production? No. I think we'll go for 1 infantry and either 2 infantry or 1 infantry and 1 cavalry. Both are good. The cavalry are just obviously less strong in holding the line, but they are just as good at attacking, and in this front we'll just be attacking with them. Everything that's not infantry will move towards Russia. And I think we don't even need this guy in Prague. Okay, now I think the best idea in the beginning is to just get rid of this guy here as soon as possible. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to move like around here, right? Shoot with the plane first, and as you can see, it predicts me doing 1 damage to their strength, like the green one, and they will do 0 damage to me. And I will also reduce their efficiency by 1. Let's see if that turns out that way. Well, nobody took any damage, so that was a wrong prediction, but I guess there's always an element of chance in there. But we did reduce their efficiency by 1, which means that our other units should have an easier time to attack them. If you're wondering why this unit does more damage than these units, it's because that they have to cross a river. If you look at the combat prognosis in the bottom, there's a bridge symbol, which I cannot really hover over because it's going to just disappear when I do this. In any case, we are going to take this one, attack, take this one, attack, and take the last one and attack, kill the unit, and because we killed it, we can move the unit up. It would have been probably more intelligent to use this unit second and this one third, so we can move this way, but it doesn't matter. Next turn we can shuffle them around again as we want. Now, I think our artillery will have a good position around here, because I think units will be here, someone will push in here probably, and we can bombard Belgrade as well. I don't think it's necessary to have the artillery in any other position at the moment. Yeah, I think that's it for the first turn of the game. We pretty much did everything that we needed to do. We could actually attack with these units as well, just to, you know, see how that's gonna turn out. I don't think it's gonna turn out very well, because all of these units are entrenched and they don't, these garrisons don't really ignore any terrain penalties, so I'm not going to attack with them, even though that would be a pretty nice amount of casualty suffered. I mean, I could just do it to get the general next turn, which might actually be a good idea. So let's do it. Okay, we only lost one. Does it count? See, it's I don't know how it works. I really don't know how it works. Yeah, but that's enough. We don't need to do any more damage right now. So I think we'll leave it at this for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next episode when we are going to play another couple of turns. Bye!